Hello, hello, good morning, good Wednesday morning, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic morning. I am Denise Stiegel. I am the CEO and the curator of a Living Healthy List, coming to you live from my cell phone because I could not get my computer to work with the new Facebook Live deal that they've got going on. And I do see, I think, my background looks backwards. So just kind of a little bit of technical difficulties this morning. So I don't know about you guys, but when I plan my Facebook Lives, like there's a theme. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I actually do have a theme. May is Women's Health Month. Happy belated to all of the mothers who celebrated Mother's Day on Sunday. Women's Health Month is a big deal because there are so many different aspects of health. Just yesterday, we had a conversation on the Wonder series about women's health, and we talked about a couple of different topics that, are a little bit different from kind of the norm. We're always talking, when we talk health, we're talking about how we eat, how we feel, are we sleeping, and all of those are incredibly important. Yesterday, we talked about a couple of other things, but yesterday, one of the themes that kept popping up is about movement and exercise. So I have the question for you today, which of course I always do on a Wednesday morning. What is my question to you today? Do you think of yourself as an athlete? Now think about that. What is an athlete? Now, myself, I still do think of myself as an athlete. When I was in high school and in college, I was on the dance team in high school. I was on the fencing team. I fenced collegiately for a few years. Since then, I've run 10Ks and half marathons. I've done CrossFit. I've tried all sorts of different exercises and programs, boot camps, all of those things, because I really do in my heart of hearts think of myself as an athlete, and probably because I started out as an athlete, in junior high school and high school when I started fencing. And truly, if you were a dancer, that's an athlete. If you were into gymnastics, that's very athletic. So, when I think of myself as an athlete, I don't think of myself as, say, Serena Williams, who is so high on the top of her game and so incredibly dedicated to her sport and her craft and what she does. We're on a totally different level, but I still think of myself as an athlete. There are, of course, challenges with that as you start to get older, because now when I was in my 20s and 30s, my teens, 20s and 30s, my body was in great shape. I was healthy. I was vibrant. Not that I'm not that now, but I'm in a completely different phase in my life. Now, ladies, you know this. We deal with hormones throughout our whole lives, from the time we start puberty, probably to the time we take our last breath. We are dealing with hormones. And now, at this stage of life, in that perimenopause stage of life, which, by the way, could last up to 15 years, so I have been told, and, oh, by the way, have been experiencing. So with hormones, that really does change a lot of the ways that we can exercise and the way we perform. And not even, athletically perform, even just performing in our lives. If we're, with our hormones, are we tired? Are we stressed? Stress is a big challenge as we get older because cortisol levels, cortisol hormone, can really get thrown out of balance. A lot of us at this stage in life, our hormones are probably out of whack anyway. But when cortisol is out of whack, when cortisol is, out of whack, if it's too high all the time, think of the story, if you were chased by a saber-toothed tiger, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard that story. Our bodies really haven't, evolved enough to realize that, one, we're not being chased by the saber-toothed tiger. And so our stress level, we've kind of created other things to kind of equal that saber-toothed tiger. And obviously right now during shelter in place, we're under a lot of stress. Some people more than others for sure, but we are all stuck in the house more often than not. We're home. We're all in the same place together. So stress is really one of those things that can really challenge our hormones, our cortisol level. And exercise, believe it or not, can affect that negatively. Now, I'm not saying exercise is bad, because it's definitely not. Exercise is amazing when it comes to cardiovascular health, to keeping your bones strong. It's actually an antidepressant. I bet most people, when they've finished a workout, they feel better than they did before. Maybe they're tired, sure, but the stress level actually can actually lessen. But here's the thing. As a perimenopausal woman, and that's typically, those of us in our mid-40s and a little older, and for some people, yep, it can start at 37. Stress is different. Now, stress when we're exercising, a couple of things to think about. One, what time are you exercising? If you're like me and you're a morning exerciser, you're probably going to be fine. How long are you exercising? Hi, Debbie. How long are you exercising? How many times have you gone to the gym, got on the treadmill, and for an hour and a half, you're just going to slog away, for a long time. You're going to hit a marker. And I've been there. Remember I said earlier, I used to run half marathons. And so, yeah, there were days when I was on the treadmill. I do live in Minnesota, so sometimes if you want exercise, you have to do it inside. So I would be on the treadmill for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Typically my half marathon was just under 2 hours. So if I was training, I would be on that treadmill, 4 or 5 days a week for more than an hour, probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that amount of time that you're working out can really change your cortisol levels, can really mess up your cortisol levels. And the other thing is the intensity. Now, when I was running for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I wasn't running at, a major speed. I could probably do that for about, 2 minutes. But the intensity, and this is where some of the programs that I've done in the past, as good as they are, doing high intensity workouts 3, 4, 5 times a week is totally screwing up your cortisol levels and is actually increasing your stress level. It's increasing your stress level. What happens when you increase your stress level? You don't feel good. You probably eat more. Hence, there's weight gain, and you're trying to exercise, and now you've got weight gain. They're counterproductive there. But also it messes up with your sleep. So if you're not sleeping and you're stressed out and you're eating, you've gotten yourself into this really crazy cycle. So yesterday, as I said, during our Winter Series conversation, we didn't talk about exercise. We talked about movement. And the word movement came to me yesterday from 3 different sources. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about that and why that is important. Yes, exercise is important. We still need to be getting our exercise. We do need to pay attention to the intensity. Yeah, we need to sweat, but we need to sweat a couple of days a week. We don't need to be, going to, boot camps 6 days a week and, kind of killing ourselves. Because what's happening is something that we tend to not think about until there's an injury. Those kind of programs, they have their place, but as we get older, they have a niche in our life. It's not our whole life. Because what happens if we really enjoy doing those programs, and I know I do. I like going to a boot camp, once a week, maybe twice a week. I used to, we have a Orange Theory here, and I would go, once or twice a week, and I really enjoyed that. But the rest of the week, my knees hurt because I was running. My hips felt a little off. because again, I'm getting a little older and I've been an athlete my whole life. And so I would imagine that most of you are starting to say, how much longer can I do this? So this is where the movement piece comes in. If you enjoy doing those high intensity things, by all means, still do that. I encourage you to do that once or twice a week. However, in the meantime, in those other days, the things that we should be looking at from a movement standpoint are things that focus on our imbalances. Most injuries from sports and athletics come from imbalances. Now, they could be postural imbalances, or they can be imbalances for example, if you don't have a strong core. A lot of times people with low back pain is because they don't have a strong core. So that's an imbalance there. If you're right-handed, your left side is often weaker. Have you ever tried to, if you stretch, do some yoga moves, and, on the right side, you can do it really well, and like, oh yeah, this is easy. And then you try it on the left side, and all of a sudden, you kind of feel stuck. Like, oh yeah, I can't move that way. That's an imbalance. So when we think about movement, we want to be able to move fluidly. Right side should be the same as the left side. And so, couple of things that we talked about yesterday when we talked movement. Obviously, things that we're doing at home. We're home a little bit more. So walking, squatting. When was the last time you squatted? And not just like with heavy weights, but squatted down or sat on the floor. When was the last time you actually watched a movie while you were sitting on the floor? You were probably a teenager, right? The challenge is if we stop doing these things, we're not going to be able to do them for the rest of our lives. So these are things that, the movement piece, we have to make sure we're still moving fluidly and kind of like a normal human being was meant to move. We have an amazing expert here on Living Healthy List. Her name is Tracy Sider. Tracy is a movement coach. And what I love about what Tracy does is it's so, I mean this in all of the best with loving ways. It's so simple and it's so basic. It brings you back to the basics that my first time that we worked together, truly in the first 3 minutes, my hips felt better, my knees felt better, I felt like I was standing taller, and that, my friends, is what we want to be able to do for the rest of our lives. We talk about living this happy, healthy, vibrant life, and we can only stay vibrant if we stay moving. So yesterday morning I took a class. It's Body Art Studio, small B-O-D-Y, capital A-R-T, Studio. Check them out on Facebook. And this class was really amazing. It was really kind of someplace between yoga and stretching and Pilates, and it was really an amazing class because when I was done with this class, I had a little sweat. I was working. There was definitely work involved, but my body was relaxed. Nothing hurt. Everything felt like it should. And so yesterday afternoon, I actually had a conversation with Ryan Daniel Beck, who is the owner of Body Art Studio, and he's actually located in New York. And Body Art Studios are actually there's some in New York and there's some in Europe. And what he said to me made so much sense, and really is kind of my point that I'm coming to with you all. He said, think about movement in this way. So, and specifically in our conversation was about movement and body art. So, but think about movement this way. So life is like a car race, right? NASCAR race. You're driving around in 200 miles an hour, whatever, Indy 500 or whatever. That's not NASCAR, but you know what I'm saying. You're going around and around, for 200 miles an hour for, forever. At some point, your car, now you're the car, needs to go to and get a pit stop, right? You need an oil change. You need tires rotated. Maybe you need new tires. You need to, in that pit stop, you need to revitalize your car or yourself as the car. That's exactly what we're talking about when I talk movement. These are things that revitalize our body and our joints. So what Ryan said to me yesterday, he is a dancer and he actually works in New York. He's been a dancer for, he says his whole life. And he realized that at some point, his knees weren't feeling so good and his hips weren't feeling so good. And now he's a dancer, so he's in incredible shape, kind of one of these men who, zero body fat, think of a dancer. And he said to me, he said, so where body art comes in is body art and movement, and this is where Tracy comes in, helps you to be able to do the things you love to do for a longer period of time. So rather than, kicking it and going crazy in boot camps and running and doing all of these things that we love for the next couple of years, with movement, we can do this, or movement practice, we can do these things for a lot longer. Now, will we be able to do it in the next 20 years? I don't know. Will I be running half marathons in 20 years? I don't know. But I know with this practice, this movement practice, that I'll be able to do it a lot longer than I would if I did not add this into my weekly exercise routine. So I encourage you to check out on livinghealthylist.com, check out Tracy Sider and understand more about what movement is. Contact her right there from the website. Have a conversation with her. It really is something that for all of us to live that happy, healthy, vibrant lifestyle that we all deserve. These are the things that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, eating eating good food and making good decisions. This is one of those good decisions. And being accountable, the 3 pillars of a living healthy list. Again, eat real food, make good decisions, be accountable. This is one of those pieces to the puzzle. This is the make a good decision and be accountable piece to your health. So again, I'm Denise Siegel with Living Healthy List. I'm the CEO and curator. I'm here every Wednesday to give you tidbits on health, wellness, personal development, and adding a little bit of fun into your life. And I'll put some information in the notes after this goes, after I get off of this Facebook Live. So you can check out Tracy Sider, check out Body Art. It's really a cool program, and Ryan's a cool guy, so I wanted just to give a shout out to Ryan also. Until next time, everyone, I encourage you here to optimize your health, to enjoy wellness, to grow every day, and have fun while you are doing it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie and Diane, for being here with me live. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.